Assalamualaikum and good evening. This is TVS Nightline. I'm Yusuf Shukri. We begin with the story. Sarawak has proved it can independently finance and deliver mega projects with today's official opening of the nearly RM1 billion Batang Lupar 1 bridge. Premier Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng declared the landmark structure a symbol of the state's unwavering determination, having successfully resurrected and completed the project after it was cancelled by the previous federal government.
Barisan Nasional kalah dalam pilihan raya 2018. Maka tertubuhlah kerajaan persekutuan baru dinamakan PH. Dan di sanalah ketika itu keputusan dibuat untuk mengenselkan semua jabatan. 3 jabatan di Sarawak, iaitu Batang Lupar, Rabungan dan Igan. This is fact.
Abang Johari adds that the bridge will strengthen links between rural communities and key economic centres, providing easier access to markets for agricultural and fishery products. He also said the Sarawak government will continue prioritising infrastructure development, including roads and bridges, to help improve household incomes. The successful completion of the Batang Lupar 1 bridge, he says, also demonstrates the capability of local engineers in undertaking and delivering large-scale infrastructure projects.
Adding to its list of achievements, the Batang Lupar Bridge 1 has officially been recognized as the longest river crossing bridge in Malaysia during its official launching ceremony earlier today. Deputy Premier Dato' Amar Douglas Ugambas says the recognition was awarded by the Malaysia Book of Records, or MBOR.
Kita cukup berbangga kerana pada hari ini juga Malaysia Book of Record akan menyerahkan satu sijil mengakui bahawa jambatan ini, Jambatan Batang Lupar 1, sebagai jambatan meneranti sungai yang terpanjang di Malaysia. Tahniah Sarawak, tahniah orang Sebuya.
Stretching 4.844 kilometers with more than 848 million ringgit in construction value, the bridge reflects Sarawak's capability in developing world-class infrastructure through self-funding. Despite challenges such as strong currents, rough waters, and complex geological conditions, Uga says the bridge was completed using advanced engineering expertise and technology. At the same time, he adds the bridge is also expected to reduce travel time while boosting economic activity, investment and tourism in coastal Sarawak. On to world news. The conflict between the US and Iran is entering a more dangerous phase with fresh military strikes, retaliatory attacks across the Gulf, and growing fears over the security of the Strait of Hormuz. As the fighting expands beyond the battlefield, the economic and humanitarian consequences are also beginning to mount. Handy Gui has the details.
All right, thank you, Yusuf. The US and Iran traded another round of strikes for a second consecutive day as both sides intensified their confrontation over the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. The waterway, a critical route for global oil and gas shipments, has become the central flashpoint of the conflict. Tehran maintains that access to the strait will remain under Iranian control following the outbreak of hostilities earlier this year. US President Donald Trump declared that the ceasefire with Iran had ended, while indicating that negotiations remain possible. Meanwhile, the US military said its latest operations were aimed at reducing Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. As the conflict escalates, the U.S. military announced it had struck around 90 military targets across Iran. According to U.S. Central Command, the operation targeted missile and drone storage facilities along with logistic sites along Iran's southern coastline. Iranian state media reports 3 casualties and several other wounded near Afas. Iran responded with attacks on U.S. military facilities in Kuwait and Bahrain, while later launching one-way attack drones targeting sites in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar. Amid the military escalation, Iran signaled it would tighten control over one of the world's busiest energy corridors. Iran's chief negotiator says the Strait of Hormuz would only reopen under Iranian agreements, warning that any future attacks would be met with further retaliation. The remarks underscore Tehran's growing leverage over a waterway that carries a significant share of the world's energy supplies. Iran's military later confirmed it had expanded its retaliation by launching one-way attack drones against U.S.-linked military infrastructure across the Gulf. State media said the operation targeted a Patriot missile defense system in Kuwait, an early warning system in Qatar, and fuel storage facilities in Bahrain. The strikes were described as a direct response to earlier U.S. attacks on Iranian territory. The conflict has again started to disrupt civilian infrastructure inside Iran. Rail service between Tehran and Mashhad was suspended after U.S. strikes damaged key transport links leading to the eastern city. Iranian authorities said repair crews had been deployed while alternative road transport was arranged for stranded passengers. The disruption came just hours before the burial of Iran's late Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei in Mashhad. Now, the wider regional conflict is also drawing renewed international scrutiny. Amnesty International has called for an investigation into Israeli strikes in Lebanon, alleging that attacks on civilian homes during the war with Hezbollah may constitute war crimes. The rights group examined several strikes that killed 24 civilians, including 12 children, and urged independent investigations into the incidents. The latest escalation is also sending shockwaves through global energy markets. Oil prices extended their rally after renewed fighting and uncertainty surrounding the Strait of Hormuz raised concerns over potential supply disruptions. Brent crude climbed above $80 a barrel for the first time in 2 weeks, while Washington also revoked a temporary sanctions waiver for Iranian oil. And that's all the latest updates I have for you tonight. Back to you, Yusuf.
Thank you, Andy. Now, a German palliative care doctor has been sentenced to life imprisonment for murdering 15 patients with lethal doses of sedatives in a case that prosecutors believe may involve dozens more victims. The Berlin court convicted the 41-year-old doctor, identified only as Johannes M., of killing 12 women and 3 men during home visits between September 2021 and July 2024. The presiding judge described the case as one of exceptional severity, saying the 15 convictions could represent only a fraction of the doctor's alleged crimes. Of more than 70 more people arrested in 2024, Johannes M. was handed Germany's toughest sentence after the court ruled his crimes carried a particularly grave degree of guilt, significantly reducing the possibility of future release. The court also imposed a lifetime ban, preventing him from practicing medicine. Back in Malaysia, the nation and Thailand have reached a landmark agreement to resolve a long-standing fisheries dispute, with both countries pledging to accelerate the implementation of a related memorandum within 1 week. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says the breakthrough follows intense commitment from both ministers who successfully untangled the complex issue through bilateral negotiations.
And we have resolved this issue of outstanding issues of fisheries with both ministers' commitment, and they wanted the memorandum to continue and be effected in 1.5 months, and we agreed it should be effected in 1 week.
The Prime Minister disclosed the agreement during a joint press conference with Thai Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul earlier today. Anutin arrived in Malaysia today for a 2-day official visit, focusing heavily on cross-border connectivity and agriculture to deepen bilateral ties. Anwar also announced that both nations have agreed to push forward with special economic zones along the border while streamlining customs and immigration procedures to boost trade.
So we also discussed the second bridge, this Rantau Panjang Sungai Golok Bridge, and the proposal that is ongoing. We want to have it done fast. We initially agreed some time back, and this is something very, very positive for initially the Perlis Kedah down to Penang, and this Sungai Golok Rantau Panjang Bridge will be mainly for South Thailand and Kelantan. And also we did discuss the initial proposal to revive the Rantau Panjang Sungai Golok Railway.
Now, police have established a motive behind the Banting school stabbing incident. Selangor Police Chief Dato' Shazeli Kahar says initial investigations found the suspect had harbored resentment over the claims of being bullied. However, preliminary findings indicate that no bullying had taken place.
Kita mendapati alasan yang diberikan adalah berkaitan dengan rasa tidak puas hati ataupun boleh dikatakan memendam perasaan suspek terhadap beberapa individu rakan sekolahnya yang dikatakan membuli suspek tersebut. Namun, hasil daripada keterangan-keterangan yang diperolehi tidak menjurus kepada berlakunya aktiviti buli tersebut.
Earlier, the suspect was remanded for 4 days beginning July 7th. Elaborating further, Shazali says the weapon used in the attack was purchased online and was brought into the school through the main gate. Police have also stepped up patrols and visits to schools across Selangor through school liaison officers, patrol units and local police personnel. He dismissed claims that patrols had been reduced as police presence at schools has increased in line with the Inspector General of Police directive. On to our final update. Institutions established to accommodate vulnerable groups under the Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development can now house more than 2,600 people. This service improvement, says Minister Datuk Seri Nancy Shukri, will help ease the suffering of the homeless, especially in urban areas such as Kuala Lumpur. These institutions are managed by her ministry's agencies, including the Welfare Department JKM, Anjung Singgah, and temporary shelter centres.
KPWKM dari masa ke semasa menambah baik perkhidmatan ini, termasuklah penambahan kapasiti serta perluasan tawaran perkhidmatan ke tempat baru.
This was a response to a question submitted by Bukit Bintang MP Fong Kui Lun, who inquired on the number of senior citizens and OKUs recorded as homeless in urban areas, as well as Nancy's ministry long-term plan to curb the problem. Apart from providing temporary shelters, Nancy says her ministry, through the National Welfare Foundation YKN, also manages transit centres that provide accommodation, meals, counselling, health screening, job placement services, and references to relevant agencies to help the homeless achieve self-reliance. So Shukri, thank you for watching. Good night. Assalamualaikum.